welcome to episode 8 of Rigor Mortis Paranormal. Tonight we will be discussing favorite haunts and legends of San Antonio, Texas. Stories include the Midget Mansion, the Gunter Hotel, the Donkey Lady, the Cadillac Bar, and more. I am David, this is Robert and Jasmine.
Hello.
Hey guys.
How's that tooth?
It's still bad. I got a loose molar. I'm getting ready to tie it to a door handle and just yank it out.
Oh, man, 'cause every time I see you take a swing, it's like it's supposed to kill the pain, but it looks like it's doing more damage.
It's
like
hurting.
Ah! So if y'all hear one of those, ah!
You'll know what it is. I'm trying to get drunk here, but I just can't because it hurts.
Yeah, actually, today's stories are really, really awesome. We have so many stories from San Antonio and actually surrounding counties. We didn't really do those yet, but there's just so many. We just took a little tip of the iceberg, and we're going to share those with you all today. And we'll get back to the regular stories next week. But we just thought this would be something cool to do. Actually, we would love to hear more stories and folklores from everywhere else. But some of these are our favorite ones, and we have some doozies today.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys got something, please call us. We definitely want to hear from you guys.
We have a good one Jazzy's going to tell. I think you were talking about the Midget Mansion?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, like that.
Heard a ton of stories of those back in the day with Steven, our brother Steven.
Yeah, he's been there personally, and that's a shame because it's not around anymore, unfortunately. Now there's a freeway or a hotel or something, or
It's like an apartment.
Oh, apartment complex.
Yeah. It's actually a really ritzy one or a nice one, right? They're like condos or something, or is it a really nice one? Watch it be real shitty. Yeah. But
it's a hole in the wall.
Yeah, it's just like they had. Well, Steven, and he had a good friend named Roland. I don't remember Roland?
I remember Roland.
Victor.
Yeah. Victor.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, these guys were. We're going down memory lane for us. I know you guys don't know who they are, but they were just the deadly three right there. But my brother and his friends, they went to the Midget Mansion, and they actually had actual occurrences happen to them. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping one day my brother does call in, but and I've been trying to get hold of him, man.
Still trying.
Yeah,
man.
I don't know. He fell off the face of the earth or something. I don't know where he's at, but anyway, hopefully we can get him to get on and tell us those stories. And then also,
the Donkey Lady.
The one I'm going to tell is a Gunter. That one happened back in '65. Well, the incident. Well, actually, they had several, so I can't really say that. That's a good one also.
And that's what we were talking about last time too. Was there's actually a lot of hotels here in San Antonio. We can actually do an episode just on hotels.
On hotels, yes.
The Anthony Hotel.
St. Anthony's, Meanger.
Meanger, yeah.
Meanger's a good one. Man, that's a pretty one. Have you been there?
Yeah,
we've seen that. Yeah.
Doing the Uber thing, too. I've dropped people off there. I've been tempted to ask them. I picked up somebody there, I should say. Not dropped off. I picked somebody up there, and I was like, this is cool. I wanted to ask them, but they just didn't look like the type, so I was like, I better not. I'll leave it alone.
Well, you know what? As I get into that story, it's weird because was it a man or a woman?
It was a couple. It was a man.
That still doesn't say what. Because anyway, on the stories that I'm about to tell, there's a couple of ghosts there on the Gunter, and they both has to do with like a call girl, or the assumption of a call girl.
Right.
And actually, there's more than 3 hauntings. I'm sorry, but. And I'm like, man, how do they come to the assumption that they're called? How do you know? Just like,
Yeah. No.
So that's what I was going to say. Just David all in his Uber trying to get his 5 stars. So, are you a call girl?
Yeah, I know.
You're driving all cool. Like, what? This is my wife of 35 years. Oh, my bad.
Oh, I thought you were picking up somebody.
Driving all quiet again. They're mad and everything.
Man, I know.
So, did you use a call girl 30 years ago? Is that how you met?
Yeah, I know. So is that how you guys met? Yeah, I get a 1 star right away.
But these are local legends, and they're actually really good. We've grown up with all these. There's more La Llorona and the ones we talked about before, the barn owls, the lechuzas. You got plenty of them. Yeah. I think in every Hispanic heritage you have the Llorona one, man. That one is it's just from everywhere.
That and what we were saying, the barn owl, the lechuza. I mean, so it's kind of hard for us to tell that here today, I guess, because like you said, it's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. So. Well, they have them everywhere. And then there are different stories. Like we'll be telling it one way, and somebody will tell it another way. It's like, well, wait a minute, they're not telling the one about the Llorona, doesn't? It's all the same thing. A woman hollering, drowns her kids. It just may be a different situation why she did. But the other one also is it's almost like the hitchhiker story. You know, you're driving down the road and you pick up this girl and you don't see her no more. Like, oh my God, or the guy or whatever it is.
You go to take the jacket back.
And mysteriously the graveyard was in the backyard. Let me show you. How the hell is it in the backyard? You know, I've heard one like that. Like, let me show you if you don't believe me. I'm like, what do you mean? Let me show you my daughter's dead. There's her graveyard. I'm like, well, that was very convenient. Yeah. You know? And there was a jacket. I was like, I know there's probably, and God bless you if you are listening, but if there's someone that's like in their like 80s or 90s, you know, they're like, you know, we did used to bury our own back in the. You know, it wasn't uncommon to have your viewing or your, what do they call that? The viewing, what do they call it?
Wake.
There you go, the viewing. It was done in their house, man.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have the casket set up there and everything, man. So, you know, that's kind of weird, but I don't think they buried them.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
what's that first story?
The first one. Let me grab my handy dandy notebook here.
Go. Yeah.
It's about the Sheraton Gunter Hotel, established in 1837.
There you go.
You know, that one actually started out as a place called the Frontier Inn. It's actually been in the same spot.
Didn't they say it moved?
They did. No, they changed the name of the street from
that's right.
From El Paso and El Rincon to, man, I just read it and I just forgot it.
It's right there downtown, though.
I think it's on Houston and Commerce.
Let's find out.
No, Houston and Commerce run parallel. They run the same way.
Oh yeah, they do. They run the same way.
It's
it's on Houston. It says, it's on Houston. I don't know.
Well, anyway, they changed the name.
I just remembered. I thought I heard they moved it, but I forgot. You're right. You did mention. Yeah.
They tore it down and they built it back up. This was in, I believe that was in the 20s when they did that.
1920.
I believe it may have been, or actually it was 1909 when they did that. Anyway, it changed owners several times, and it actually served during the Civil War as Army headquarters. But during that time, it went from different owners. Anyway, during the 20s, they said that there was
my tooth. I'm sorry. That hurt.
That scared me, man.
I'm sorry, Rob.
God darn tooth.
It hurt.
We really need to take care of that tooth.
No kidding, man. I mean, like, what was it? We said we'd tie like
to a little helicopter and fly it off.
Something.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll just tie it on my bumper, but man, my car's a piece of shit. Driving. All right, ready? Take off, and man, the bumper will stay fly off.
My tooth is still here. Sorry, that hurt.
Oh shit!
I took a drink of my beer and it's hitting the root now or something. I don't know.
Oh man, man! Next time we're gonna have to get like hot liquor or something, man, or like the English beer, the warm one.
Oh yeah.
We just put a funnel down all the way through your throat.
Yeah, it's hot of that, man. Oh, forget it, man. Like warm skunk piss, man. All right, getting back to the hauntings here in the Gunter. What they have several hauntings there. And then some of them are kind of cool. I was reading, they have two ladies, supposedly, one's named Ingrid and the other one is named Peggy. And here we go, this is what I was talking about earlier. They're believed to be two hookers from the 20s. And Ingrid, well actually both of them, they were given the name by patrons there. They really don't know what their name is, but supposedly Ingrid, she's the one that runs around with the long flowing dress. What's weird is these two ghosts, supposedly, they don't get along. And what's even weirder than that is they're supposed to haunt two separate parts of the building. I don't know what it is about that, but they say that there's some days that they can hear two ladies arguing.
Wow.
And that's what they know, and there's no one around. That they're like, what is that? And they're blaming it on these two, Ingrid and Peggy.
Wow.
That they just do not get along, and that they always hear them arguing. And some have even seen Ingrid, the one with the long white dress, walk through a wall several times. Another kind of cool one, I think, and I know you're going to love this, being guitar players, is Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson, in case y'all don't know, was back in the 30s. He was a fantastic guitar player. He's like a pioneer, but he's famous for the Crossroads. If y'all ever hear the story of the Crossroads?
Where you make a deal with the devil?
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, and you make a deal with the devil, and supposedly Robert Johnson made a deal with the devil because he was just a mediocre guitar player. When he made the deal, supposedly like overnight, man, the guy he was doing techniques that nobody had. I mean, just everybody was like flipping out there, like, man, this guy Robert Johnson's the shit. The thing too is he got really big within like really fast. So with that, it came fame, women, money. So what he did was on the recordings, he only has 2 recordings that were ever made. And it's weird, man. One of them was done here, and it was done on November 23rd, 1967 in room 414. He had a recording session here, and he only had 2. And like I said, one of them was here in San Antonio, which is great. I think that's kind of
awesome,
cool.
Yeah.
And I think the other one was done I believe in Mississippi. I got to double check that. Well, he was just great. I mean, like everybody wanted to be like him. Yeah. But he had this tendency of, he was a woman's man. Everybody, women wanted to be with him. And supposedly what happened with him in 1938 is one of the ladies he was eyeballing, her husband, I guess, caught wind of it and that he was flirting with her. So they make it sound like the husband is the one who sent a whiskey bottle to him by the lady that he was flirting with. What was the husband that gave it to his wife? Here, give it to this motherfucker. He's the one that's eyeballing you. When he got it, the bottle was open, and he was partying with another blues legend. His name was Sonny Boy Williamson.
Oh, yeah.
The Sonny Boy looks at him. He's like, "What are you doing, man? You don't ever drink a bottle that's open. You never drink one." And that guy's like, "Hey, you don't tell me. You leave me be. I want to drink my bottle." So he chugged it. And supposedly he got real sick, and he was like in agony for like 3 days, and he finally died. Well, they're thinking the jealous husband poisoned him. Okay, going back to the Gunter Hotel, room 414, where he did his recording sessions, there are people who see him in that room. They've seen him playing. To me, I don't know if that'll be an actual scary thing. I think that'd be kind of awesome. But
man, I would love to see that, man.
I think I would just go over there and just kind of sit there.
You saw him.
But the doozy of this one, though, the big daddy on this one, and this one actually came from, remember San Antonio Light?
Yeah, the old newspaper here, man. Yeah.
Okay, we have one now, Jazz. It's the Express.
Oh, I'm always stuck on the current.
Yeah.
It's not even a newspaper.
It's not a newspaper.
Well,
I don't read the newspaper often, so.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Anybody does anymore,
they actually gave Mom a free newspaper, and I looked at it. I was like, where'd you get that? Why'd you get it? I was like, why did you get it? She's like, they're trying to get me to subscribe. And I was like, what'd you tell him? I was like, no. I was like, I get my news like every normal person on the internet, So I was like, that's a trip, man, when they said that. Anyway, back in 1965, this was actually on February 6, 1965, there was a cat by the name of Albert Knox. He checked into room 636, and he supposedly went in with a blonde lady. They were there actually like 2 days. The guy and her were supposed to be partying and going, from the room to go party, and then they come back late and whatever have you, right? It is the same woman, the same tall woman. He was there with 2 days. And here we go. This is what I was talking about earlier. So we had the other 2 whores from the 20s, right?
The turf whores.
Yeah, the turf whores. And then the patrons labeled her as a call girl. How the fuck did they know that she was a call girl, right? I guess in 65 you had a lot of people just like, well, that maybe it didn't look proper, but still maybe she may have been like a floozy or something.
Yeah,
but like,
how do you know she? Or something, but all of a sudden she's labeled
showing ankles
or something. Yeah. That's unacceptable.
Call girl.
But that's
You're a sign of a call girl.
Like that's like it's more the lady and not the man who's with his lady. They're saying like, but he has to agree because the wife's there like, yeah, he's checking out her ass too. Damn well he is, but he can't say he is. His old lady's right next to him. Yeah. She's a whore, Harold. Don't you agree? Oh, don't go whore. I agree. Yeah, she's a call girl, definitely. And you looking at her. He is, man. But anyway, on February 8th, there was a housekeeper. And her name was Maria Louise Guerra. She was a housekeeper at the Gunter Hotel. She saw a do not disturb sign on the door. Well, hoping to catch these 2 lovebirds in action because Maria was an ugly bitch and didn't get any action.
That's not even how it is.
I wanted to see. I just wanted to see you guys were paying attention.
That's a little twist in the story.
That I'm gonna have some of these people like the kin to Miss Guerra calling you son of a bitch. You wasn't like that.
That's my daughter,
I want to see if these 2 guys are paying attention.
Who wrote that report?
The light.
San Antonio, like, that's why they're out of business now.
Anyway, on February 8th of 1965, she saw the do not disturb sign on the door. And what they would do is, like, sometimes they would leave him there, the guests, and they would forget to take him down. So she was saying, well, you know, he hasn't checked out yet, but I need to restock his shit, whatever he has in there.
Right.
So she uses her key and she opens the door. She unlocks the door. She walks in. When she walks in, she's like stopped dead in her tracks. Standing at the foot of the bed was Albert Knox. He stood there with a bloody bundle, like a pillowcase, and it was saturated and soaked in blood, and it was full. I don't know, there was something in that pillowcase. And the lady, Miss Garrow, stood there. She started, first when she walked in, she saw the guy standing there, and he like caught dead to rights, you know.
Right.
So he just turns around and he looks at her, and he puts his finger to his lips, and he goes, shh, like those, and
Like to shush her.
yeah, this chick's like, hell no, you know, she sees them, she's like,
Oh my God.
she starts yelling. This guy.
Oh, senor.
Yeah. No. So she's screaming her ass off and like she's tripping out. This guy runs past her, and it's weird because he didn't do nothing. He just like runs past her. So when he runs past her, they said that it took 40 minutes for this lady to report to management, not to call the cops, just to management. What happened? I'm like, why did it take so? She was probably really tripping, or she probably couldn't move or something. I don't know what it was.
Heart attack or something.
Well, by that time that guy had split. He disappeared. I mean, he left, right? So it said the evidence remaining in room 636 was clear. Somebody had died brutally. When they did an interview with a detective, his name was Walter Corky Dennis, back in 76, he said it was the bloodiest place I had ever seen up until then. Like he said it was just like gruesome. The bathroom was especially bad and just sticky with blood all over the place. He said he noticed blood in the bathtub, that it had a red ring around it, like they were washing off, body parts, and they were draining it in there. And he said that it was just real bad. Like in the toilet, they had like, the toilet was clogged and they just like a ton of blood in there. They don't know what was in there.
Just flushing stuff down the toilet, body parts.
So, but the thing is that that's all they found. They didn't find nobody. And so the police department, they're on high alert. They're like, we got to find this guy, right? So they started looking into that guy, Albert Knox, right? They found out that he had actually, I guess he used the same name because he was using like checks. And they were saying actually that those were stolen checks from his stepdad. Like he stole them from, I guess his dad had money or something like that. And what he did was he was writing checks everywhere, but they said that he had visited a local Sears department in search of a meat grinder. When the Sears employee informed him that they didn't have the larger size that Knox wanted, the employee offered to order one from the warehouse for Knox. However, that would take too long, and he left. And it says here, he stormed off in a huff. So I guess he was pissed off. They didn't have, what he was looking for. But he said little evidence was found inside the room. A lipstick, smeared cigarette, brown paper bags, luggage from the San Antonio Trunk and Gift Company. The purchase for the suitcase had been made by a check from a John J. McCarthy.
So that's how they found his real name? Or?
Yeah, well, John J. McCarthy happened to be the stepfather of 37-year-old Walter Emmerich. Okay, Walter Emmerich was a guy that was going under the alias Albert Knox. And he had disappeared, and they said he was going on one of his drinking binges. Anyway, going forward, the police were looking all over for this guy. And they were looking for the woman's body. They just couldn't find nothing. I guess that's what it was. Whatever he took in the bag was left of her.
Wow.
So on February 9th at the St. Anthony Hotel, just 1 block away from the Gunter, that same fella, Albert Knox, Walter Emmerich, he went into the St. Anthony's Hotel and he came with no luggage and he requested room 636. And that particular room was not available. And after some arguing, he settled for 536. He checked in under the name Roger Ashley, but the man had aroused suspicion of the front desk attendants, and after tipping the San Antonio police that the murderer might have just checked into the hotel, they went up to room 536. They started banging on the door, and the police tried to open it, and I don't know, I guess the guy just with the key, I don't know, was bumbling around. You know how they have to make it? But they said while he was doing that, they heard a gunshot, boom, and it was coming from inside 536. When they opened it, they saw that guy, Walter Emmerich, had a gunshot wound to his head. He was actually dying. It says that the cop went up to him and the detectives, and they were asking him what he do, what happened with the lady. Where's she at? And that he made gurgling sounds and died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Wow.
So to this day, they were saying that you still see the lady. You can still see her, and that some people even report seeing the actual murder taking place. I don't know how that is. And they were saying that particular room, 636, it was a bigger room, but they remodeled it, and I believe they made it into 2 rooms or something like that. So now both rooms are kind of haunted. And that people still see the lady there. Like she'll be sitting there, or she'll be walking. They'll see a lady in the hallway walking into that room, and they claim that they see the murder going on. So that's a trip.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, I like that one. I always thought that was a cool one.
That is pretty cool.
If y'all ever head to Gunter, that's the room, 636. If y'all want to get scared,
or if you want to see Robert Johnson.
Oh man, definitely. I'm going to 414.
Yeah. I know, man. That's awesome, man.
Oh yeah,
I like to see that one, though, man.
But that's the thing right there. It's like, I wonder. They said that he was holding a pillowcase and that it was just full of blood, but it looked like there was something in that. It was full. The bag was full, like, you know.
He was so like nonchalant.
Yeah, and he turns around like, shh. I do not know what he was saying, but he said,
that's crazy to even just.
And so,
but even just to do that, that's weird, man. I wonder what he took with him. I wonder what.
Any body parts, like maybe a head or.
I mean, but you know, because they said they didn't find any parts from her, right? I mean, nothing.
In the toilet, they found massive amount of blood. That's what
makes
just
blood, though. But I mean,
and well, he was looking for a meat grinder.
Maybe he did find that meat grinder.
He probably did, right?
Yeah, somewhere else. Yeah, Sears wasn't the only store in town, I guess. So.
Well, you can buy anything at Sears at that time, man. Yeah. That's a good grinder, right? For those weekend barbecues, or dismembering hookers.
Plenty of hookers in San Antonio.
Anyway, that's a good one there, man. They have these tours here in San Antonio too that you can actually go to that one. And like I said, Minger's another good one. St. Anthony's the one you had said that's another haunted place there. I do believe we're getting into the next one. I'm unsure who wants to go next. Who's going next?
I don't know. You want to go next, or you want me to go next, Jess?
Okay,
I'll go next. I can tell a story. How about the Donkey Lady?
Donkey Lady, we actually used to live over there. We used to live at the Gaylord.
Yeah, in our Gaylord house.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember when we were going down, there's a road named Applewhite Road, and it's still, to this day, it's still kind of dark, but now they have...
they got the Toyota plant up
now it's lit up a lot more. But back in the day, we're talking about, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
And remember when...
oh man, yeah.
Well, let's call him the flip-flop guy.
Yeah,
the guy with the
guy with the flip-flops that we mentioned in the earlier
you were
episode.
trying not to say his name.
Yeah, man, he's gonna be pissed the next time. I'm suing you, son of a bitch. But yeah, the paper thin, Mr. Paper Thin Chocolates, man. That guy, he always had the coolest rides, but they were like shit. They looked like shit. He had what is it, 66 Impala? We called it the War Wagon.
Yeah.
And then he even had a Plymouth like a 62. I don't know where he got it.
I know, man.
But like we were hauling ass one time. Remember that?
Yeah.
And Jazz, it was me, Dave, Chanclas, and there was a kid that rode with us who was a friend of ours, Dave. David, he was deaf, he couldn't hear. We were hauling ass down this street and it was dark. I mean, it was dark. It was like, it was always pitch black. And so he's like, 70. We never made it to 80. And he's like, 70, going to 80. And then I remember sitting in the front. And what's weird about it is because, man, those seats, remember, they went way back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room in there. And like, the guy was huge. So like, he was like way back. I mean, like, he pushed that thing like way back. So we're hauling ass and we hit that turn, remember?
Yeah.
I like, the turn, the sharp turn, there's like a sharp turn and he was going 80. And he looked at me like these eyes like, oh my God. So he just starts pumping the brakes. And like, it's weird because we know what's going on, right? Yeah, we were there like, oh shit. And we were about to get racing for the turn. And I turned back and I'm looking at David. And the other Dave, the guy who can't hear, he's all cool just sitting there like,
I was trying to tap him in the chest and I'm trying to tell him in sign language.
Panic.
Hold on.
We're like panicking now.
Be scared with us.
Man, those brakes, I guess they work pretty good because like we fishtailed and we went into a ditch. Yeah. And that's when he started panicking. I was like, oh, we're wrecking. And we're assholes, man, because like the car is wrecked, and you remember what we pulled it back with?
With the Pinto?
With the Pinto.
Yeah, I remember the Pinto. I went to go get it. I drove that thing. I was like 14, maybe.
Yeah, we were like young ass. Anyway, I was crying, man. They're the guy like 400 pounds, 6'4", just bawling, man. Like, oh, my brother's gonna kick my ass, man. And like, hey, and it was his car. Why is he gonna kick your ass? It's your car, right? And he's like, yeah, but he tells me not to hang out with you Mexicans because y'all Mexicans.
What the hell? What is it?
Anyway, I remember that, and that's actually a little bit towards Applewhite.
Yeah, that was right there by the Donkey Lady.
The Donkey Lady Bridge, yeah. So I had to bring that up. It was a stupid story, I know, but man, I couldn't get it.
I remember running home. I ran home to get the car, and my brother was asleep, and my sister, it was our sister's car, the little Pinto. It was a Pinto. It was a standard. I don't know how to drive a standard, man. I was 14 years old. But I remember my brother was asleep, and I went and I asked, I was like, and I took advantage of knowing that he was asleep. I was like, hey, can I have the keys? We had a wreck. We need to pull the car out. He's like, all right. You know, he gave me the keys. He was asleep. I was like, oh, hell yeah, dude. I'm going to go take a joyride in. Jumped in this Pinto, man, put it in reverse, and I drove over there to we had to go get help. We had to go get a chain and stuff, man. And yanked the car out, and that was
man,
fun.
I remember that, man.
That was fun for me, too, because I had to drive.
Stayed at our house for like 2 days. Remember that? And
finally, he was scared, man. And I remember when his brother came over. Man, his brother was pissed, man.
He was pissed, man. He was like, what were you doing? Why? Why were you taking these guys here? And I was like, dude, wait a minute, man. This dude, it's his car. He wanted to go, but
yeah, he was trying to beat his old record, I think is what it was.
Yeah, and then we were
go down there.
I was like, man, I was sitting when you guys were in the back seat, and I was looking at you, and man, I know you were tripping, like, oh shit. Yeah. And what to say, just big smile, like, oh, we're going fast. But he didn't know what was going on. I was like, hey, dude, like, you shouldn't be panicking right now. But it wasn't until, like, you know, like, but
like, saw the curve up ahead right in front of us.
But I swear, I think there was, like, maybe about 8 or 9 feet in front of me before I hit the dash. So I was like, man, I could think before, like, I can be embracing myself and doing different positions. Like, who's going to take me a while before I actually hit the, because he was way back, man. That guy, man, shit.
He put the seat all the way to the back. Our bus in the back, the passengers were pretty much in the trunk, man. It's like
riding in the back part, rolling down that back window in the station wagon. But that thing never worked, right? When you roll it down, you pull up that chrome thing with the handle and roll. Yeah. It never worked, man. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys.
That's cool.
Donkey Ladies is another good one too, man. I love this one. This is another great story. So go ahead, David. I'm sorry, I'm stepping on your shit, David.
No, that's cool. We're good.
There are several different versions of the tale of the Donkey Lady, but the stories are similar enough to make it seem plausible that there is a seed of truth to the story. Here's a common version I found online. Years ago, most agree sometime in the mid-1800s, a settler woman lived near the banks of Elm Creek with her husband and 2 children. The couple was barely scratching out a living from the family's stingy South Texas soil and raising a few head of livestock. One day, the son of a wealthy San Antonio merchant came riding onto or near their property. Somehow, the young man came into contact with a horse or mule belonging to the pioneer family. The young man, the story goes, teased the animal and hit it with a stick. The poor animal retaliated in the only way it knew how and bit the merchant's son. Enraged, the young man began to beat the animal even more severe than before. The poor creature's cries reached the ears of the pioneer couple, and they quickly rushed to the scene. It became obvious to the couple that their animal, no doubt vital to their livelihood, was about to be beaten to death. The couple began throwing rocks at their animal's assailants and pelted him several times. They did not realize this young man was the son of an important man in town. The young man hurled a string of expletives at the couple as he retreated, but swore he would get even with them. That night, a party of men, led by the wealthy merchant and his son, stealthily approached the young family's cabin and set fire to it with torches. The heavily armed men refused to allow anyone inside the cabin to leave. Desperate, the man of the house attempted to make a break for it in hopes that his wife and children could escape while he distracted their attackers. He was gunned down almost immediately upon setting foot outside the cabin. The screams of the woman and her children as they burned alive were heard up and down the creek for over a mile. Just as the mob was sure that their unholy task was complete, a figure engulfed in flames smashed through what was left of the cabin windows and staggered towards the stunned and now terrified men. The woman's hands seemed to have been burned down to mere nubs, and her face appeared to have melted or sagged to the point where it was unnaturally long and deformed. The poor creature's clothes were gone, burned away, revealing skin charred completely black, yet somehow still on fire. The wretched creature that had once been a happy sod-busting wife and mother let out a bone-chilling wail, and then staggered past the men and hurled herself off the bank and into the waters of Elm Creek. The criminal mob followed to the point from which she had launched herself into the black water, but saw no trace of her. Her body is said to have never been found. Since that terrible night, travelers who tarry too long on or near the bridge have occasionally reported terrifying run-ins with the donkey lady. Horrible screeching and screaming is reported from time to time, emanating from under the bridge or the surrounding woods. Some have claimed a malevolent creature of some kind has dropped onto the hood or roof of their vehicle, screamed loudly, and scratched and clawed at the windows in an attempt to get them. Photos exist of damage allegedly done to vehicles by the donkey lady. It is said that if you park on the bridge, shut off your headlights, and wait, you will almost certainly encounter something truly terrifying.
Okay, so that was one of the versions of the story. Like I mentioned, there are other versions. This one I read was from texascryptidhunter.blogspot.com. But, there are other versions. Again, like I said, there's one supposedly it happens in Helotes, and then something else that happened in Windcrest and Live Oak. But the stories are primarily the same. It's basically a lady who got burned, and I guess maybe she was just ugly. She looked like a donkey. Well, not really, but I don't know how true it is. I mean, I know we've been out to the bridge before, haven't we?
Yeah, back in the day, it is a creepy. Well, back then it was a creepy place. Now it's industrialized. They got the Toyota pickup truck plant out there. The
Texas Edition Tundras.
Yeah. You said, okay, Windcrest. The Windcrest Bridge. The only thing I can think of is in Takas Park. That little one that does that little, like, the creek is like, it's not even a creek. It's only when it rains. It's like a foot long. It's not like, I'm thinking, is that the one they're talking about?
It's more of a show than anything.
Yeah. I don't know how Windcrest. I mean, Windcrest is kind of, especially at that time, I'm sure it was more ritzy.
It's like we were saying earlier, because like La Llorona and all those other ones that everybody's got a version of everything. But I always did like that one. And supposedly, like, it said, like, if you turn your lights on and you see her on the bridge or something like that, or you park there and like, I can't remember. Man, that's how long it's been, Dave.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's been a long time.
Something about throwing rocks also, that if you throw rocks on the bridge that she appears and she like chases you or something like that. That's one of the versions I heard. And another one, if you park your car and you turn the lights on, she comes out and like she's always pissed off. So
right,
so,
I mean, the story here it was kind of vague. It said if you park your car on the bridge and you shut off your headlights and wait, you'll almost certainly encounter something truly terrifying. That's what it says here. But you're right.
Back then, yes, remember, because it was bad. I mean, they would find like bodies out there, and there were a lot of murders that went on down there. So I can imagine, you just keep your lights on and maybe you see something pleasant like the donkey lady. But man, that was bad, man. It was real bad.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was another awesome one. That story's been like since we were kids.
Yeah, I don't think we ever saw anything though on the bridge, did we?
No, but I mean, it was still kind of back then. It was a creepy place.
Oh, it was creepy though. Yeah, definitely. At that time, now, like you said, it's all industrialized. Now it's probably all lit up.
Yeah, they have light posts out there now. They worked on the street back then. They have potholes. There were more potholes than my ass, man. I mean, there was a lot. But now it's all like really nice, and Toyota took care of it, man.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. It didn't have any light posts. I remember. You remember running over that whip snake?
Yeah,
I made a belt out of it.
Smelly ass belt.
Yeah, I know, it stunk bad.
But I made it.
Yeah, well, I was like a kid. I was, 13, 14 years old, and I just, I knew you can make a belt out of a snake. I don't know how, but I was like, we ran over the snake by accident. I was like, oh, you know what? Just like, this is a cool snake. I remember just cutting it open with a knife and just yanking the skin right off of the body, and I threw it on top of the roof and threw salt all over, because that's what they said to cure it. You throw salt on it.
Some kind of oil too, man. But
I don't know what I did.
That thing smelled bad.
It was horrible. It came out bad. It stunk. And I wore it for, I don't know, a couple of months, and I was like, until I finally realized, like, you know what, this is not cool. This is horrible.
Over there by the Toyota plants, I was reading, actually I was listening to some guy's YouTube podcast. I don't know what he does, but anyways, he basically does like abandoned places around the world. But he did one near the Toyota plant, and it's like, what do they call it? Where they make a bunch of homes, like
Like a subdivision?
Yeah, they built one there, and then I guess the guy never finished it because he went to jail for like fraud. But the houses are, it's crazy. It looks creepy. Like, the houses are all up, and it looks like a zombie, like...
You know, it wasn't our old neighborhood, because that lady almost... almost went to jail, too.
There's one. It's weird, because when we used to go to illegal gambling spots out there on Highway 16, and that's out towards the same area, but it's a little further down. They have this, they look like almost like apartments or something. They're finished, but they're boarded up. It's weird. They're all boarded up. And then I'm like, why are these? And every time I pass it, I always wondered, I wonder if that's the same spot.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's weird. I didn't know that. I never heard of that.
And it's weird because like they look like they're livable, but nobody lives there. You know, like, why is that? You know.
Yeah.
And then there's actually a place like that right off of 34th Street, 34th and Commerce, but coming in a little bit more like it. There's these houses, and it's weird. They go to a cul-de-sac, and there's probably about, I want to say like about 9 or 10 of them, and they're boarded up, but they look livable. There's like 2 or 3 houses that are being occupied, and the rest are boarded up, and they don't let nobody see. And I was like, I wonder what happened. It makes you think, right? Like, I wonder what happened to those. You know, what's the story behind that? You know,
something they just don't want to discuss.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Yeah, that's one of those things.
It's a trip. Yeah, but so anyway, that was a donkey lady, and what do we got next? You got something, Jazz?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the Midget Mansion.
Midget Mansion. Man, you got the good one. That's a good story.
I wish somebody...
You better do it some justice now.
Oh my god,
no
I know.
Pressure.
That's what I'm saying. I wish somebody else would have called in and actually with their own experience, because I'm far too young.
Yeah, that's right. You weren't even around for Midget Mansion, but there were a lot of great experiences. You're right. Like we said, our brother Steve, one of our older brothers, actually had some really good experiences.
Hey, you know, we probably discussed some of those when she's done, but like, I mean, some of them were kind of cool, like the ones that he told us that happened. But it is a good story. It's actually a really cool story. I mean, I've heard several versions of it also.
Yeah, there was quite a bit when I was. I'm just trying to do the. I'm gonna do the gist of it. Let you guys know.
That's cool.
But basically, in the early 1900s, Mr. I can never say this. Gillespie.
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 Yeah, Gillespie.
Oh
he's actually an auto dealer nowadays, or I don't know if it's him, but at least his maybe he's kin to that guy.
You can afford a Ford when you buy from Gillespie. When you buy from Gillespie.
You can afford a Ford.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Desi.
It says in the early 1900s, Mr. Gillespie and his family moved into the home. Basically, like, he made it tailored for him. Mm-hmm. He had, his wife was also a midget, I don't know the correct term for that. Little person. But he had 2 normal-sized daughters, and he was, there's 2 versions. He was either wealthy because he appeared in all the Hollywood movies as a little person, or a lot of people, too, said he was a business owner. So he hired a lot of regular-sized servants and housekeepers, and they say that he was very abusive towards them. He made them stay in places with low walls. They were confined to small places, and he was always offended about things that were normal size.
When he hired like people that were 6 foot tall and stuff like that. That's
above average.
Yeah.
No, but
yeah.
Apparently he went mad and he turned on his whole family. He killed his whole family, and he slit their throats and threw them in the closet. And as they were dying...
So this is Mr. Gillespie that's doing this stuff?
Mm-hmm. The dad.
I didn't know that, though. I didn't know it was Gillespie that owned the dealerships. I mean, I know it wasn't him, but it was probably his father or grandfather or something, maybe?
I don't know if they were kin or not.
So they may not even be related.
No.
Oh.
You know,
I'm sorry.
He sold carriages.
I've had a lot of beer in
He sold horse carriages.
I'm sorry.
You can afford a carriage.
Little tiny horse carriages.
I had a lot of beer in me, so I'm like way off here probably. Yeah. It's not the same Gillespie.
But
it could be, but I mean,
I don't know. I thought it was.
No, you know what though? I was reading comments about this when people were actually somebody was saying that Gillespie was my grandfather and he was a car owner, a dealership owner or something. I don't know what you were saying. He was really offended about it.
Could have been a different Gillespie, the family though.
But the Gillespie, he had killed his family. Well, he slit their throat and threw them, and as they were dying, I guess he thought they were dead, but they didn't. I read a few different things. Like, one of them said that they died inside the closet and they know that they weren't dead when they were in the closet because there was a bunch of handprints all over the place and in the closet. And then another version said that he took them out and he dressed them up and put them at the table I don't know how true that is, but anyways, it had remained abandoned for a while, and then eventually it caught on fire, so it was basically just like the shell. Mm-hmm. So it became like the hot spot for teenagers, and...
That was actually, it was. In the 70s, that was like the place to be. If you got caught out there, though, you can get locked up, or they'd give you a fine.
Well, yeah, because they were saying a lot of satanic rituals went down there. And
it may have, but like they had like mostly a lot of bored teenagers trying to look for.
Didn't he say they had to go through a field or something like that? They snuck through a field and
it was
had
like
to
a hill. A lot of people were saying that it was on a hill. I don't know how.
Maybe I guess, but they had to go through like a field of grass or something, and they had to lay down or be real.
That's what I heard. They had to crawl to it too. That's what
you had to crawl.
Because they had the security out there.
Yeah, there's security out there.
Well, and the rumors, like, a lot of people hear, like screaming and moaning coming, well, when they were out there, when the teenagers were out there, they heard, like, the screaming coming from the upstairs closet where it supposedly went down, and they were scratching the walls. They saw, like, shadowy figures and, like, disembodied noises, so... They heard a lot of, like, crying, stuff like that, so that's why they believed it was haunted. But now it's an apartment.
Apartment complex, huh?
What was the name of this again? In case anybody wants to look those. I couldn't remember. I'll look
Promontory Point?
Promontory Point.
Promontory Point.
Come on. How do you spell it?
Promontory.
I'm still not going to even try and say it. But we actually looked it up. I forgot about that. And we even had Google say it for us, and I think it said it wrong.
Yeah, you were right.
Promontory Point.
Yeah, Promontory Point.
I was trying to find like hauntings from them, like, but there's not really. So, somebody said in the comments that their friend lived there and that it was haunted. And they saw some stuff in their kitchen or something, but
I did see that too. I saw something where somebody was saying that there was a lot of hauntings in their apartment complex and stuff, but I don't remember the specifics, but yeah, you're right.
That story also, they have, I don't know if they have different, I'm sure they have different version of that also. There was another version, I believe, reading away, but I can't find it because I was looking for it, but they were saying more like they had some, yeah, that's me. Like that, huh?
It's that squeaky chair.
This one's kind of cool.
Did you grease that though?
No,
because it's not as squeaky as that. It's not as squeaky as it normally is. Huh?
Where we get used to it.
Yeah, I think last week I was 2 pounds heavier. I hate it because I think that's what it is. It's a beer that's really making me forget shit. But they had a cool version of, like, there was a doctor.
You think?
Yeah, it's gotta be, man.
Get sponsored.
Yeah. I'm serious. I'm like, that's why I can't remember shit.
Anybody want to sponsor us?
But they had a version where somebody got messed up, man, in that house. They go out and they tell, one of the little people goes out, one of the family, and they tell a doctor that there's been an accident in the house and they need a doctor. Doctor goes over there and they're leading them through like dark, because mind you, it's back in the day, and they're leading them through a dark road or something like that. Well, they finally get there, and man, I want to say it's this story of the Midget Mansion. When they get there, the guys were creeped out because there's like a pregnant lady or something, like she had an accident and she's like bleeding, but like it's not what y'all think. She's like bleeding from her arm or something. She had an accident.
Oh, okay.
But as he's working on her, he notices like there's little people and there's strange thing. There's like a strange person that's just on the side, and he doesn't look right. He looks kind of weird. He patches up the lady, and she's not saying anything. She's just like, and he said it was a bad cut. Like he fixes her. Somebody comes out and they give him like 2 gold pieces or something like that, right? And he's like tripping out real bad. Like, he's like, man, he just wanted to get the hell out of there because he said it was real creepy that that person in the corner didn't look like a person. It looked like a being, like something like not right. It wasn't. Yeah. So he jumps back in his carriage. He takes off, and he said that there was a bunch of little people there that lived there. He says it's one of those also. Here we go again, a hitchhiker story. He goes and he's like, man, I went to this place, and he's telling one of his buddies, right? And he's like, man, and he shows him the gold pieces, and the guy's like, nah, that can't be right because that place is burned down. Well, he goes back, and sure enough, the place is burnt down, and it's been burnt for a long time, and he's like, wait a minute, I was here just last night, there was they're like, no, this place has been burnt down. So, hey, man, I wish I could find that goddamn story because it was good too, and that was another version of what you were saying, but
that was a version of the Midget Mansion?
Of the Midget Mansion. Wow, and it got read in a book. Remember Steve's friend Roland?
Yeah.
Okay, we had, my brother Steve had a friend named Roland, And he said that I believe it had 3 stories. That's what the attic. Well, of course, the attic was up there. And that they were moving something out of there. That's what it was. They saw something they liked in the attic. And this is like, man, I want to say like mid to late 70s. And so he said that he was moving something. And he said it was weird because like he had his flashlight. He said it was shining okay on the first 2 floors. He said as soon as I get to the attic, it turns into like kind of a Luke Skywalker beam, right? Like that's how it just like, you know, that's the way he made it sound. And he said, so I move. I don't remember. He said it was a radio or something. It was something where, you know, probably because it was antique.
It was a radio.
It was something that he liked and he wanted to take it. He said he scooted it over and that he started adjusting his flashlight, putting it in his pocket or something like that. Right? He said he turned it off, put it in. He says, so mind you, he's in the attic, so he's talking like he's on a ladder in a square hole. You know how you have to climb through that square hole to get into your attic, right? So he's making it sound like that's what he is. He's like right, just barely like below the square hole, but he's got enough where he could reach in to get his radio. So he said he puts down his light. There's no light, mind you. There's nothing in there. There's no light. There's no electricity. So he's putting his flashlight up, and he claims when he turns around to grab the radio, there's 2 boots there. And there's somebody standing in the boots. He said he let go of the boots and jumped down off the ladder and they took off hauling ass. He said, I couldn't move the boots. There was somebody standing in the boots. It's like, you know, and I remember thinking, damn, that's a trip, man. That was
crazy, yeah. So the radio turned into a pair of boots.
Yeah, there's somebody in it.
Your brother?
It was my brother's friend.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Roland. Yeah. I remember that, man. I remember him telling us that story. That was crazy, man.
Crazy. I remember one time Thea took me to, when I was little, she took me and she was like, if you don't behave to me and my cousin Shady, I used to spend at her house all the time. So my Thea was like, if y'all don't behave, I'm going to take y'all to the Midget Mansion. And we were like, no. She ended up driving us by this house, but in the backyard it was like, now that I'm old enough, I realized it was like a giant doghouse. But I was like, no, please don't.
It wasn't Midget Mansion because you weren't born on.
No, it wasn't. But she had me convinced.
I can't even remember when. It burned, but they said it burned down again. Like it actually got on fire again or something like that, and they had to totally destroy it or something like that. I think that's the main thing too, is because they had just too many people trespassing.
Yeah, that's true.
And they didn't want to screw with it. And then it was one of those houses that the historical society just. That's weird because nowadays they try to save everything, but
that was one house they just said forget it.
Yeah, I like that story, Jazzy. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
If you guys have actual experiences, call them in, please.
Yeah,
we want to hear about those.
Yeah, if y'all did on the Midget Mansion, that'd be great. That's actually you're right, Jazzy. Way to say it, because that one is a really good one. I like that one.
Yeah, I actually seen a couple. Like I saw some people like on YouTube and stuff. I mean, where they did have some experiences. So yeah, that'd be nice to hear them. I mean, I'd love to have people call them in.
Yes, yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, well, let's get to our next story, man. What's our? Oh, damn, poor Jasmine. She lost her beer right now. It fell through her chair.
I'm trying to chug what's left of it before it turns
that's
nasty.
Horrible. That's like an African being without food.
That's so.
Yeah, you know there's people sober in Africa, Jazz.
It your beer, but it fell right through her chair.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't
horrible.
drop it.
Yeah, she's sitting there real
It
cool
just
and just
foamed
fell
up.
right there. It could have been a
It was
ghost.
a ghost.
Oh my god.
I got okay. This one, you know, the only reason I'm gonna tell it is because I loved it. I loved it growing up. It was one of my favorite ones growing up. And you pop that, buddy. Oh yes, look at that.
We're gonna do the same thing.
No!
I'm kidding.
I know we're talking about it, but now you guys tell me. We were talking about it, and they had people debunking it and stuff like this, but it's still one of my favorites, man. The dadgum railroad tracks. I mean, San Antonio is infamous for the railroad tracks, man. I love the railroad tracks. We went there several times. Remember, as kids?
Plenty of times.
And I remember, like, we would play around and we would throw dirt on the back of the glass or baby pot or whatever. And, you know, you would see these handprints that would pop up. And it's weird, too, because that's what would get me. Is because, you know, normally, especially with Jamie's car, that was his car. But, like, you would see, like, little-ass handprints that were owned from, like, maybe a 2-year-old or 3-year-old.
Right, yeah. I remember that, yeah.
And, okay, well, the story goes, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, back, and it said in the 40s, there was a train that was barreling down, and it hit a school bus that was going over the train. It stalled out, and all the kids on the bus died. From that time on, every time you went to the haunted train tracks, you would go over there and turn your car around and I'm sorry, I'm showing these guys with my hands, so you guys can't see what I'm doing. You park by the railroad tracks, you shut your car off. And what we park, Dave, like, I want to say like about 15, 20 yards, probably about 15 yards away.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Anyway, so we'd shut the car off and we'd put it in neutral. And
it looks level.
It did.
It looks level. They say it's not, but still, that's kind of beside the point.
It actually looked like it was going uphill.
Yeah, it looks like it's
going uphill.
Yeah.
Okay.
But from what they say, it's not. But even
they put the level bubble down and this and that. Yeah. But I'm like,
that's kind of beside the point, because like what you're saying about the handprints. That's actually
they had different sizes, and I do know when they said especially the grease on my hand. There's always grease on this part. If you put that, it stays on there, and but
the powder over the grease absorbs.
Yes. Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. How do you get those smaller ones, or what do you count for that? Mm-hmm. And there were several times, man. We went out. I saw smaller handprints. I don't know if I finished the story there. The story was, when they killed all these kids in the school bus, what happened is now every time you park your car there, the school children, you emulate that you're stalled or whatever, and the kids see that your car is parked there. Well, they push your car safely over the train tracks so you don't get stalled out and you don't get hit. Man, how many times have we been there and we've done that?
Oh man, I don't know how many. Honestly, I remember times. Yeah, I remember sitting on the back of the hood too. Like,
remember we were helping, like we were pushing and stuff like that.
Pushing and stuff. I mean, we weren't afraid because it seemed kind of, I don't know. We just got used to it.
There's also a picture of like a little ghostly girl there, right?
They do have that one, and I don't know if that's another thing they debunk, but that's right by the haunted train tracks. I love that story so much, because even though you do kind of look and you go back and try to look for those newspaper clippings, I really didn't find any, but it is something that I want to believe that, and I think it is, because we've been there so many times and we've seen those handprints for ourselves, and it's weird, and it was such a fun place to go back in the day.
I remember specifically, we wiped down the bumper. We wiped it down really good, so
it was clear, wasn't it?
Yeah, so how did the handprints come out that clear? I do remember exactly, and we were playing around too. We jumped on the back part of it, and we were sitting down and stuff, laughing, having a good time, and it was during the day. We jumped on the back of this car. Everybody says, this is fake, so let's wipe it down real good, just make sure. So we got a rag, and we wiped down the back end real good, and when we got home, we checked it. We put baby powder and stuff. We got home, we checked it, and there were several handprints, and there was one of them that looked like it was a skull. And I know it sounds kind of cheesy. I know it sounds pretty, crappy, but honestly, it looked like, I was like, what the hell is that? That's like a skull. It looked like a hand, but just the bones. It was weird, man, and it sounds stupid.
Oh no,
it sounds stupid, but it was. But I know what I saw, and I was like, what? Okay, come on, that's not even a regular handprint. It's like they're like bones, It was weird, and I promise, okay, so I had a lot to drink, but I did see it though. I did.
No, because it did, because there was even times when I was looking at it.
Do you hear the dog?
Yeah, the ghostly dog.
We don't have dogs.
There's a
ghost. I'm just kidding.
But you saw face prints also. I don't know if you remember that. Like, these guys were really trying to push, like they pushed their face up against, and I saw that also.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that.
Right, you're right. I know, and it's weird because they did debunk the whole thing about it. Like we said, when you look at it, it looks like you're going uphill over the tracks, but they debunked that. They said they put levels on there, and it's actually
but how can
going
you count for the speed?
Yeah, I know, because it did go fast. I remember that. Man, you put a neutral, and that thing looks like, man, it starts hauling over.
Because it was pretty fast. It was like somebody was giving it a really, like, you can pop a clutch on that, and
yeah,
you can.
True. You can. But then, how do you account for the handprints too? I mean, and okay, so they say it's the oil or whatever from your hands, but if you wipe it real good, I mean, I don't know. It
didn't make no sense to me, and I was kind of pissed off when I saw them. I was like, what, fuck fact or fiction, man. Like, honestly, I've seen them debunk other stuff, so this is one of them. I think I'm just gonna say, I think they probably got this one wrong, but that's the thing, because I remember one time there was a ton of handprints on there, But not only that, there was like little ones too.
Tiny ones though. Yeah,
another
like
theory
a
is
baby.
about the how that whole neighborhood's like named after.
Yeah, that's. Did you read about that?
I don't know. I read about that being part of it, but I didn't read further. But I would say something different.
No. Well,
Okay.
I mean, supposedly, one thing I heard, it was named after the subcontractor.
His family or what?
Yeah, it was his kids and his grandkids or something like that. Or it was the investors who put the money up for that certain subdivision. And you know what? I drove through there a couple of times through the neighborhood, and they have some really nice houses out there.
Really?
I'm talking about like real nice ones. I'm not. I was surprised because I thought you only saw that up in the ritzy part of San Antonio, the Dominions and whatever you have. There's some really nice ones.
Wow.
Their garage was like the size of this fucking house.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, their garage was like a house.
9-car garage.
Yeah, and their house was like huge, man. But they put it on a small lot. That's what was bad for them. And they had other nice houses there too. That's one of those places. Like, man, if you get lucky enough to live there, man, you probably don't have to pay as much as But I don't know. It's nice. Anyway, that's.
Well, the other thing too was I read the same story about the tracks, but it was in Utah. I was like, how the hell?
Oh, yeah, I read
did
that
read
too.
it in different places.
That's I'm like,
too.
how?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. I mean, but maybe there was another story, same incident that happened there. But I read somewhere that they were trying to take our glory, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hold on a
There can only
second.
be one.
There's only one haunted train track, but maybe there's more than one. I don't
We
know.
brought up this one up before. It's actually, I think, on our first episode, first or second, when we brought up about the one in, was it Aston, Texas? Where they had the one that the Dr. Pepper hit the school bus and knocked it into the caliche pit.
That's right, yeah.
So that's another tragic school bus story. Those are sad. I think we'd have to do one on school buses. Or maybe city buses too, man.
City buses also.
But I'd like to believe that there's something going on there. I personally think that the haunted train tracks are exactly what they say.
No, I know there are. It's a great story, man. It
It's
really
a great
is.
story.
We grew up with it, and
We grew up with it, damn it, so it's here and it's haunted.
We're still young, so it's not a very old story, but okay, so yeah, it's a little bit old. But anyway, so man, the next story.
All right, this one's about the Cadillac Bar.
Cadillac Bar.
I've never been there, but I want to go.
Yeah, you know what? I used to work across the street from there. People were always going there, and I always heard stories.
Jumping, and that it's actually I hear it's a really nice bar, but we were just talking about the Cadillac Bar today at work. A buddy of mine at work was telling me, and he said it was a real elegant place. I didn't know that. I've never been there. I hear it's a real nice one.
It does look nice from the outside, from what I've seen. I've never been in there either myself, but
they said it's a very nice bar.
It's crazy. We're not much of the bar people because we just, you know what, man? If you can buy a beer for $6, or you can buy a 6-pack for $6, it's like, you know what? I think you and I are alike, Rob. I mean, where it's like, screw that, man. You buy a 6-pack for $6. I mean,
quality or quantity, man. That's what I'm talking about.
I pregame it before the bar, and I don't remember the bar when I'm there because I'm already drunk. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know what? We're those type that drink. Let's drink like a son of a bitch before we get to the bar. It's like, what the hell?
With the same beer?
Your butt's going away and everything. I'll go home.
Yeah, I'm
tired. Your butt's
at home. Yeah. I got my $4 6-pack at home.
But
we got a dog next door. It's going crazy. Yeah, I'm sure you can hear, but if you can't, well, now you know.
They're padded walls.
Yeah, we need to get a insulated room.
Pro, man. We need to find a spot, man.
We will eventually. Yeah, we're still early in our episodes.
Yeah,
so.
still in our infancy, but still,
that's
man.
Why we need your donations.
They're gonna send the money.
You're like my friend. He was trying to sell some stories, but he told him to send the money to his emails. You know? I was like, what?
Send the money to
Give him my email.
Okay.
Anyway,
let's get back to the Cadillac Bar. So it dates back to the 1870s. Originally, it was a general store. So the Cadillac Bar actually opened in the 1980s. It originally sat near, it still does, near a courtroom. So it witnessed like a lot of hangings from trees and
Wow.
And supposedly it's built on a burial ground.
Here we go.
Burial grounds.
So for whatever reason,
is it an ancient Indian burial ground, or?
Did not specify.
Maybe.
Come on.
Okay, here we go.
Is there any other burial ground besides an
that's what I'm
ancient
saying.
burial ground? Indian burial ground?
They're modern day Indian burial ground.
No, but I mean, you figure, right, that you learn your lesson. I mean, because the Native Indians, they don't fuck around.
They don't want to be
you
fucked
want to
with.
fuck with their ancestors, you're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
Even the ancestors are going to tell you shit. I mean, they're the ones that are coming back to haunt you, so why would you still do it, though? That's what I'm saying. And I don't mean to interrupt you there, Jess, because we were talking about this when we were talking about...
What, like 2 episodes ago? Last episode?
Last episode. And believe it or not, that's in the same
right.
freaking vicinity, you know, so they got something going on. Maybe it is tainted land. I don't know.
You know what?
It's supposed to be sacred land. And you mess with
It sounds
it.
like tainted.
Then it's tainted, yeah.
But you know what's funny? And again, sorry, Jazz, we're going way off here, but I used to work right across the street from there. And it was a 2-story building. It was an old building, man. And upstairs, man,
That
same
had to
thing.
have been built on sacred or Indian.
It's kind of funny because we used to talk about, man, and here we go with your story. It kind of combines with both y'all's. It was a woman of the night.
Not a lot of bitches that come there. Shit.
There's a lot of horrors. So there's a horror that worked
Fun time,
at this
baby.
place where I used to work at, but upstairs. And it was a big warehouse. The whole upstairs section was it was a wide open warehouse area. But they said at the time they were individual rooms, and they said, this one lady was a lady of the evening, lady of the night, and she primarily she was a whore. She worked at this one room, and we tried to figure out which room it was. We did a little bit of research, and we figured out what spot it was, more or less. But I never experienced anything there. But
Was she murdered or what?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, she got murdered there, too. Just like everybody else, she got murdered.
Murdered.
But,
So that's all that, I mean, and then you gotta realize too, back in the day, like, I guess it was rough, like back in the 1800s or whenever, I mean, people didn't have ounce of shit. I mean, you could kill somebody for calling you a liar or a cheat.
Doesn't
Yeah, you know.
You have to know if you're a hooker, you're
Yeah.
not gonna end up
It's
very
not-
far.
it's- you
It's
know,
not gonna
I
take you
know.
far.
I know.
I just
Especially
chill for a
back
couple
then.
of years till I can buy my log cabin and I'm set. You know, like,
Just made my way
Yeah.
to college.
But you were talking about the hangings and stuff that they saw, the violence like that, you know, that's and that was like real hanging. They like to see
Yeah.
like when they
This-
dropped you from something.
They were saying that hanging from the tree, so I was like, oh, they didn't even use use the tree.
And then it wasn't
Yeah.
uncommon to see like if they didn't do it right, like some of these guys would come flying down and like actually their head would pop off,
Yeah.
man. So
It's gonna hurt.
Nobody said nothing about me. The rest of my life was on my head, but that's I'm sorry,
horrible.
Chazzy. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
So, they were saying, like, for whatever reason, at the Cadillac Bar, they said that the basement was sealed off permanently, and that the owner believed that there was bodies beneath the basement, and that they couldn't handle the restless spirits, so they trapped them in there, and that's why they sealed
it
off.
off.
Yeah, they permanently closed it.
Are they still having like hauntings going on now? I mean,
Well,
I think they do, actually. Honestly,
Yeah.
I've read some stories on it, too. They have glasses moving and stuff like that.
like they see.
They'll come down, they'll break.
well, one of them, they
I used
think...
to sell restaurant supplies, so yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I sold them a lot.
Sold them a lot of glasses.
They were saying that I guess a former owner, he was like tall, had the handlebar mustaches,
Oh, yeah,
and he's one
Mustache
of the
Pete.
ones. Yeah, he's one of the ones that like they saw near the basements a lot.
Oh, okay.
And there was also another prostitute.
No, there
Her
you go.
name was
Good God.
What, Beatrice?
Beatrice.
Beatrice. I don't know.
either or, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
You just call her B. You
B.
call her the B stand for.
They called her
Sure.
Bae. Well, they said she wasn't evil. Like, she wasn't evil. She was an evil spirit, but
Trying to
she
make
was
that money.
angry.
Yeah.
She's always an angry. Like, she was ugly inside and out while she was alive.
So they probably shorted her.
she wasn't popular.
Yeah, she was the one that she. Why can't I be like them high dollar whores, them $2 ones? I'll start charging 30 cents, man.
But they said you could see her ghost walking like up and down stairs in a tattered white dress. They said it's best to leave her alone because she's easily triggered, her temper. This is the one that they said that she throws stuff in the kitchen.
Oh, damn.
Like, so she'll throw stuff at the staff and the patrons, so.
You mother. Oh, never.
I mean, what is it with these,
I'm telling you.
You know what? We're gonna have to do.
You know what? Prostitutes?
You know,
that would be awesome.
I think we can. I think we can find a way to do that because we had just mentioned.
We mentioned what, like 4 or 5, 6 of them, right?
The last episode,
and it's not even based on horrors.
Yeah, you know, and you know what? In the last episode we had mentioned the one that one was sad, and that's the cold case that happened in, I believe, in the early '80s, mid '80s, something like that.
Yeah.
But what I mean, like, how many times have we mentioned that? Though, that's a lady of the night.
Right.
Obviously, it's a dangerous job. Yes, we all know that it's not all.
We all know.
Yeah, you know. Well,
we're not all cut out for it.
Yeah. If I'm a hooker, I charge by the pound. I'm making millions, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. Any male,
they have this,
any man whores.
Not because of you. What do they have? The squashers?
Oh. Anybody want me to lay on them? No sex. I just want to lay on them.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Man, they're like
squashers.
500-pound ladies. Yeah. And the bigger, man, the more
they make. Yeah.
Yes. They come out and I don't know where
they do pay by the pound.
Yeah. But I don't know where they get their lingerie. And it's always different. It's sexy.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's yards of it, but it's sexy, you know.
They have to pay $2 extra?
Yeah, they're just
that's me.
horrible.
Yeah.
Just be still, honey. No, but the guys that they lay on, they're like 130 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, you're like they're tempting fate. Like, you know, I just want to see if I could die today, but I know I could beat it. Like, why do you want to do that, man? I mean, how fucked up are you? I mean, to each his own. Really, it is. I mean,
you're right.
You know, that's your thing. And I'm not knocking it, man. I just, it wouldn't work with me. You got 2 fat people. There's no way. We should keep rolling out. Baby, you gotta lay still. I'm like, I am it. Yeah, it would have to be on a flat concrete surface. Baby, you need to do it on a concrete surface.
This ain't working out, honey.
Can I have my money now? You didn't do nothing.
We'd like to encourage you guys to visit Alamo City Podcast Network on Facebook. They're actually another group of guys that we've been working with. They're pushing all kinds of different podcasts in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Everything. All kinds of different stuff. It's just a group of us getting together, collaborating, and pushing San Antonio as a whole. Yeah, helping each other.
They have everything from musical gear to reviews of musicians and actually Texas and whole. So you look them up.
Yeah, definitely give them a try, man. We're all working together to make San Antonio a better place.
Oh yeah, and get exposure for San Antonio. Another thing I want to bring up also is all the places that we listed. There's some that yes, like the hotels, yes, you can visit, but there are other places that you may need to get permission to go. You don't want to get locked up, a ticket, or shot at. So just be careful if you do decide to visit those places. I'm talking to most San Antonians around here who probably want to go look at those. Just about be careful with that.
Yeah, definitely. So again, what's that phone number, Rob?
That number is 210-901-8666.
That's right. And if not, you can always email us at info@rigormortisparanormal.com. Great talking to you guys tonight, and we hope to have you visit us next week with our next episode. Good night.
All right, we'll see y'all.
Bye, guys.